All right, it's 7 o'clock. We'll call the town board meeting for May 6th to order. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Patrick, I think Steve has some recommendations.
Yeah, and we did talk those through today. Number one, I would like, as an addition, we did get three-dimensional re-renderings of our administrative offices redesign.
You want that 9A?
We'll do that under new business 8E. Or no, let's make it 8F because we're going to move something out of consent over to new business as well.
Wait a minute, we already have an 8F.
No way, that's general business.
That's
now.
general business. So under new business, go 8F.
So that's the admin building update?
Yes.
All right, anything else?
No, sir.
All right, Steve?
All right, just clarification for me. Under the consent agenda, I would like to move the item 5F off of the consent agenda under new, to add to new business. I think it better fits there. If everybody
So you want that as item 8G?
Nope, that'd be 8E.
Boy, you're gonna...
Oh, this is gonna be,
You just
Okay.
put a number on it, you just say whatever it is and we'll do her.
you let us know.
Let's put that at 8E, and the administrative building will remain at 8F.
All right. Oh.
All right, what else you got?
Okay, I guess, hang on a second, I get my pen to work. I had questions, and it's really a clarification for Patrick on B and H. To me, they're both national public items, and they should be both resolutions or both proclamations, so you tell me how you want to do that.
I think first of all, we have to go to the consent agenda
Okay.
and officially pull those and discuss those changes. Would be
Okay.
the procedure.
Well,
Yes.
then that's good enough for the agenda.
Okay.
So we're pulling B.
Nope,
Not
nothing yet.
When we get to consent, we will.
I was out of order.
We can't have anarchy.
All
Thank
right,
you.
any other confusing points? All right, hearing none, I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval of payment of the bills. Have a motion?
I'll move to approve payment of bills.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, item number 4, approval of the minutes from last month's meeting, April 19th.
Mr. Ruzek
50.
contacted the office today. We have made a variety of grammatical changes, non-substantive.
Would that be from spell check, Steve?
Yes.
I had time to look really detailed.
He was very thorough this morning.
Sorry.
No, it's all good.
So I'll move to approve the minutes with the changes that I have been noted.
Do I have a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, that motion carries. Item number 5, consent agenda. Good luck, Scott.
I was gonna say, which do I include and which do I not?
I would, Mr. Ruzek should pull the two that he is.
Okay, I as I said earlier, in the wrong place, that West Bald Eagle Boulevard should be pulled to new business, which we've already done.
Okay.
My items B and H, I think are inconsistent with what is being stated. So if we can, and they can be still, in my opinion, they can be under the consent agenda. It just needs to say it's either a proclamation, both of them, or a resolution, because they're both recognizing national events.
They should, the point or consent agenda item H should read, adopt resolution recognizing May 19th to 25th, 2019 as a National Public Works Week.
And I'm all good with that. So, no more questions.
There you go.
All right, with that, Scott, you want to go through them?
Am I good to go now? Okay.
Skip F.
Item 5A, a special town board meeting. Call a special town board meeting for Tuesday, May 28th, 2019, at 6:30 p.m. at Otter Lake Elementary School, 1401 County Road H2, to attend a neighborhood meeting regarding the 2019 road improvement project. Item 5B, National Police Week. Adopt a resolution recognizing National Police Week as May 12th through the 18th, 2019. Item 5C, Cable Franchise Extension Agreement. Approve the extension of the expiration date of the current franchise agreement from August 31st, 2019 to February 28th, 2020, and authorize execution by the Town Board Chair. Item 5D, Lake Links Trail Cooperative Grant. Approve the Lake Links Trail Cooperative Grant modification requesting $2,500 in additional funding to be split 50-50 with White Bear Lake to perform a traffic study. Item 5E, Stable Property. Approve the proposal and contract for services to perform a property appraisal at 5685 Portland Avenue. Item 5G, Appreciation Gift. Authorize the purchase of an appreciation gift for the outgoing recording secretary. Item 5H, National Public Works Week. Adopt a resolution proclaiming May 19th through the 25th, 2019 as National Public Works Week. Item 5I, Public Safety Commission recommendation. Approve the purchase of an iPad with funds from the false alarm account for the silent auction at Township Day. And item 5J, right-of-way permit, based on town engineer review and recommendation, and including his recommended conditions, approve the permit to replace overhead electric service with underground electric service for a residence at 5605 Hugo Road, which will require directional boring.
All right, with that motion for the consent, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion carries. Item number 6, on old business, we have none. So we'll move on to item number 7, which is a public hearing on ordinance number 35. Tom, is that yours?
Sure. Yep.
I need a motion to waive the reading, noting it's been properly published.
So moved.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. Also, I need now a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, Tom, go ahead.
This request involves a property up in the Libel Edition Light Industrial Park near the corner of Highway 61, County Road F. This is the property we're looking at right here. For perspective, this is the Holiday Station store up at F and County, or Highway 61. It's property that's, again, the Libel Edition Light Industrial Park, a number of light industrial businesses, contractors, bus storage, various different things going on up there. And been approached by the Luther Company, who is looking at utilizing a portion of the site here at 2321 Libel for storage of new cars. I believe they're Subarus. It's a temporary type use, but it's a use that is not currently permitted by the zoning ordinance. So they went to the Planning Commission, requested amendment to the zoning ordinance to add this type of use, which went to the Planning Commission at their, I want to say their their March meeting, where it was reviewed and discussed. And the Planning Commission did recommend amending the zoning ordinance, adding to the list of conditional use in the I-1 zoning district, adding the use new automotive storage. And they added that, or recommend adding that to the list of permitted uses under the conditional use permit category. So if the town board approves the amendment to the zoning ordinance, the next step in this request is to approve or request or to review a conditional use permit for the actual use of storage of new cars. As I mentioned, this is a temporary use. Again, they're hoping to store cars in this area right here of the site, these two areas. Currently, there's a little bit of outside storage for buses. Historically, both of these lots were utilized for bus storage. Several years ago, that shifted over to this property right here, although there is some overflow on this site right here for bus storage. This is proposed for car storage only. This is a new automotive dealership, so these would be new cars. There would be no sales from the property No mechanical work on the property, strictly just storage of vehicles. So again, the Planning Commission reviewed the proposals at their March meeting. They did recommend approval of the zoning ordinance amendment, and then they also recommended approval of the conditional use permit as requested.
Were you at that meeting?
No, that was when Scott attended, in my behalf.
I just got a couple of questions, Tom.
Yep.
Did they talk about how many cars? Was there a maximum number they could allow, or?
We did not get into a quantity, no, we just looked at this area here.
That, and I know, I'm pretty sure town ordinances don't require all vehicles to be licensed. Now you're sitting there with, I don't know how many cars that aren't licensed. So is there an issue there with our town ordinance?
Good point.
Not sure if that references residential neighborhoods or not, I guess I'd have to look at that detail, but,
Well, it's,
yeah.
I think that's kind of an important fact. I mean, I notice you have a date here when this thing expires, but I think we need to clarify if we're opening up some kind of little window in our ordinance. Steve, you got anything else?
I was gonna say, that's probably a very good point, because really, they're not licensed until they're sold anyway, so, but it needs to be clarified, I would think, as a storage item. But in addition to that, Tom, is there, how are they, I'm just curious, how are they bringing the vehicles there? Are these by transport, or are they driving them there, or transporting them there, or what's, don't know that?
Steve Sobrowski from Landform Architects is here, he could probably
We'll get to you in a
summarize that.
second.
Wasn't,
Okay.
did not have that discussion with him.
All right, Scott, anything, Tom?
No.
All right, Chad, is, would the commercial area like this, or light industrial be exempt from the private ownerships of vehicles that have to be licensed for our ordinance? I guess I'm not that versed on it, but.
I don't know if we get that specific on it.
Yeah, and here's the
Well, I
problem.
know it has to, a vehicle has to be operating and currently licensed if it's on private property.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if that obviously follows through with this set.
Well, I don't have a really good answer for that one, but I'd be concerned because the problem that you have is once you adopt an ordinance, you're bound by it, and furthermore, it's going to be interpreted against the township. So, yeah, maybe something we should double check first. I didn't think of that issue when I was looking through the packet for the, for the preparation.
My brain thinks a little weird.
Do we
Well,
have?
no, it's a good point.
Well, I think it's a very good point. Do you have do we have a start date when they wanted to do this? Is it as soon as we approve it? Because if we're meeting again in 2 weeks, so I mean, we could probably have this squared away by our next
Yeah,
meeting.
they were in an emergency situation. They've actually had the cars up there for some time. They appeared at the Planning Commission, apologized immediately off the bat for doing that, but they're in a desperate situation for car storage right now. It's part of their Subaru dealership. I believe they're negotiating with an abutting property to that to actually store those in the future there. But at this time, they were just desperate for space.
All right, any other questions of Tom or the attorney? All right, I'd look for a
No.
motion to open this for the public comment.
So move to open for public comment.
Second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the applicant's here, if you'd like to hear from you. You go to the podium now.
All right.
Just give your name and.
Sure. Steve Sobrowski from Landform Professional Services. Work with the Luther companies on many projects. And this one, again, as Mr. Diesel mentioned at the Planning Commission meeting, Luther companies were in a tight bind, especially during the winter months over this past winter. And we're looking for a place to store some automobiles. And they identified this as a potential location, seeing that it was being used for bus storage, and really drawing to a conclusion that it's a very similar use, that we thought that this might be a good opportunity for them to use that. Of course, they went at risk at that without an understanding of what the zoning allowed, and have since discovered that, of course, we need to make some changes to allow for this. So that's why we're here today. As far as the loading and unloading of vehicles onto the property, all those operations happen at the dealership, which is in Vadnais Heights. So they have runners or drivers that will go to this location, store them, and then once that vehicle is called for to be looked at or test driven, they send a runner back up to pick up that specific vehicle and bring that back to the store. So auto vehicle transports don't load and unload here on the property. We try to keep those isolated at the dealerships. There's a number of things that have to happen when they are unloaded. They have what they're called a pre-delivery inspection. So they go through them, the managers look at the cars, make sure there's no dents and scratches, things like that, do their initial preparation on the vehicle. So all that has to happen at the store because there's minimal sort of initial service that happens on those vehicles. As far as the licensing on the properties, I can't answer that question. That's something that I'm not familiar with within the town. So I don't know what our review period is, if in 2 weeks we will have exceeded, or if we need to make a request for an extension on our application, but I guess I'd look to Mr. Diesel for some advice on that.
Well, when you move these cars via drivers, what kind of plate, do you just put a dealer plate on them and then pull it back off after you drop it off?
I'm not sure how that works.
Obviously, they got to be somehow licensed to get on the road.
Sure. Yeah. I think they have their temporary licenses.
Well, what I'm getting at is, does that stay in the car?
Stay in the car? Oh, the
Well,
keys do not.
if you put a temporary license or a sticker in the window, does that stay in the car when it goes to the lot?
They have the stickers on the window, but they don't have. I don't think they
I'm
have
not talking about the
Right.
sale sticker.
Right.
I'm talking about when you buy a new vehicle, you always get a temporary registration sticker or something.
Right.
What I'm getting at is, if you do any kind of registration on it to get it down the road, if that stays with the car, that might suffice for our licensed vehicle. But if there's nothing on the car that says it's licensed, then it doesn't apply.
Right. I apologize, I don't have the answer to that question. I don't know if they operate under some other agreement with auto dealerships for their licensing,
But-
that it covers that period, but
Did you say that they're already there? You're operating on a temporary arrangement on the application?
Right.
So, Tom, I guess the question is, from I have, is there a deadline on that application that we have to act on that's going to require them to move vehicles before 2 weeks?
Yes, the application, referring to the 60-day review period, so this would be continued for 2 weeks. We should ask the applicant to extend that 60-day review period for 2 weeks. It's set to expire, I believe, on the 12th of May.
I guess if we aren't clear on how our verbiage applies on licensing for our ordinance, I think we should ask you to extend it until we get clarification. I don't feel comfortable granting something if we're not clear if it's going to open up Pandora's box.
Of course, licensing is actually governed by state law, and it's really enforced by the police and MnDOT. So I'm not sure if it's really a zoning issue or not.
Well, I know it's a town ordinance for at least residential properties.
Yes.
They have to be operable, they have to be currently licensed. And technically, right now, none of those vehicles are currently licensed.
Yes, but that's involving the nuisance statute, isn't it?
Yes.
Nuisance ordinance. And that's really for residential property. This is commercial property, so it really wouldn't apply.
You have insurance on all these vehicles sitting over there?
these are, I'm going to assume so. It's not my dealership. Again, I'm a representative of the planning and engineering company.
Is that something we would have to see an insurance indemnification, so we're not responsible for
No,
200 cars sitting over
it's, Mr. Chair, it's not really our response if someone, I mean, we only govern use of the property.
there? Okay.
How they actually, or when I say govern use, we govern the types of uses allowed on property or permitted under conditional uses. How they actually use the property in terms of, a conditional use, that's not our responsibility. No, actually, that doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Let me try that one more time. All the township does is determine what uses are either permitted or can be allowed under conditional use. How the property owner actually I'm not going to use the word use again, how the property owner actually operates, and what legal effect that operation may have in terms of, liability, if there's damage or personal injury. That's not really our responsibility. That's the landowner's responsibility. So I wouldn't be too concerned about insurance aspects of it. And now that I think about it, if they're not allowed, I don't think the nuisance ordinance covers this because it's not residential, it's strictly commercial property. If they're violating a state statute, that's not our problem also. They have to, not only have to conform to the township ordinances, they also have to conform to state law. And so if they're not conforming with state law, then they really can't do it anyway, even if we do permit it.
If I may, the Luther companies do own a number of properties that are, that they do a very similar operation all around the metro. There's a number in Bloomington that they have a similar situation where the vehicles are stored off-site, and when they are delivered for the respective buyer, then they are shuttled back to the dealership. So it's not an uncommon arrangement to have a situation like this. I couldn't cite any other state statutes or regulations that would prohibit them from doing that. But again, it's not uncommon for them or other dealerships to have a property that functions in this certain way.
Well, again, it gets back to use of motor vehicles on state highways or public roadways, which are governed by, I believe it's statutes, chapter 160.
Well, I guess I'm not so much concerned about insurance, but I am concerned about violating our ordinance on vehicles without having them currently licensed. Even though this upfront makes sense, but I'm pretty sure that's what the ordinance reads, and if we allow this, that's against the ordinance.
Mr. Chair, you're correct. You are correct that it's considered to be a public nuisance to maintain an inoperable vehicle that's unlicensed on private property. But I believe we should double check it. I can't tell you off the top of my head if it's only for residential property or commercial as well.
Know.
I don't know.
But I think that is something we need to clarify before we,
Yeah.
Steve? or
No,
Scott?
I agree with you. If we're already there, but we're butting up against the 60-day limit.
And we
as you
are.
stated, well, then it's really in your court to extend 2 weeks. I think we can have an answer and be here to approve that.
But they have to do that in writing, by the way, too. The extension has to be granted in writing. In the past, we've done it orally. I've looked at the statute again. I'm more comfortable when they actually give us a written extension, a written waiver of the 60-day rule.
So they could operate as they currently are on this temporary arrangement pending our review in 2 weeks?
No,
No, I mean with the written approval or written request?
no, because they're theoretically already violating the ordinance.
They are.
But we just haven't, because of their application, the township has decided not to enforce it at this moment, awaiting your decision of what to do. But no, they can't, it's not a legal use of the property in terms of zoning.
So what is the approach here for us to review it, other than deny it?
Move them all? How many are there, do you know?
It's really those areas that you're looking at that are hashed in the red. So I couldn't tell you an exact number. There's an estimation of maybe 75 to 100 vehicles, somewhere around that range.
Maybe we should table this for later in the meeting. In the meantime, I can have a chance to pull the ordinance and look at it.
Circle back later?
I think so. That might be the best way to do it.
That might be
Because it's a pretty straightforward answer. Just gotta get a copy of the ordinances, that's all.
And I'll make a motion to close the public portion unless there's someone else want to talk about it, and then we can
Table it till the attorney reviews it.
later in this meeting.
That work?
Yeah, you could, yeah, that'd be, the motion would be to table it till later in the meeting.
May I ask one other question? If you table it, you close the public hearing now, are you able to reopen the public hearing so you can
Yes.
take
Sure you
commentary
can.
again?
Yeah,
So,
that's
great.
allowed.
All right, just hold that. Thank you.
All right, I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, to be continued. All right, we have item number, item number 8 under new business, under Public Works, crack ceiling proposal.
Yes, that's mine. As we've done in the past several years, is we've contracted out our crack sealing program. And this year is proposing to do the same thing for the 2019 seal coat project. Have the crack sealing done prior to the application of the oil and rock this year. And that will happen, the work will mirror the mapping of the seal coated streets. If there are additional dollars left, I will continue into the 2020 area with crack sealing, just to get a jump on it. But we did receive 2 quotes. We've got one from Seal Tech for $1.50 per pound for crack seal, and one from Farner Asphalt Sealers, $1.82 per pound for crack seal. We've used both contractors in the past, performed fine, with the understanding that they will comply with the township noise ordinance, hours of operation. I'll be very clear with them.
Thank you.
And this year I'm proposing to, not to exceed amount of $28,000. We have just, after the seal coat portion awarded this year of the project, we have just under $30,000, $29,040.23. You subtract the $28,000 I'm proposing for not to exceed on the crack sealing quantity. That would leaves $1,040 for any kind of contingencies, which I don't see any. But good to have something. So my recommended action is to accept the quotes and approve the 2019 crack sealing quote from Seal Tech for a not to exceed amount of $28,000 at $1.50 per pound. Any questions?
Is there an issue with timing with these folks? They understand?
No, they're actually ready to go. He would like to start in the next few weeks. So they'll be well ahead of the seal coat, which will start mid-July.
All right, Scott, you got anything?
He answered my questions.
Yeah, mine too.
All right, hearing no further discussion, do I have a motion? For, obviously you want 2,
Yes.
1 to receive.
I'll move to approve the receipt of the quotes from Seal Tech, Inc. and Farmer Asphalt Sealers, LLC.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And then the second one is approval of the quote.
I'll make a motion to approve the quote from Seal Tech, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $28,000 for $1.50 per pound of crack seal with funding from the 505 Improvement Fund.
I will second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 That motion carries. All right, let's see, item 8.2, 2019 I&I project. That you, Larry?
No, that's me.
Are you gonna still
That's
take
me.
it?
This is the joint sealing televising in anticipation maybe a lining project where we're just investigating the I&I, potential I&I that may be in our system. So to continue that program, I've put together a bid sheet that is attached, and it's got the date, or the bids will be due in May 30th at 10 a.m. There'll be sealed bids open. The work is estimated at $46,730. A portion that, I would say roughly a third of that cost is could finish up the joint sealing project that we've had, that kind of started 2016, 2017, 2018, and now we're finishing up this year. I've got an understanding of what they're looking for. I made improvements in the bid document that I want to pressure test each joint to determine if it needs crack sealing, or crack sealing. Now I'm getting everything mixed up. Joint sealing. Got too many sealing and projects in my mind. But anyways, so that if they do this pressure test and the air doesn't hold for a certain amount of time, then they'll go ahead and grout that or seal that joint. So I've used every joint they have to, in the pipe system, pipe section between manholes, they have to test. and then I just make a determination from that test if they need to seal or not. So I'm assuming they're going to seal every joint, or the pressure test every joint, and they'll help provide me with a price for each joint I've estimated. The high end would be every joint would be sealed. Low end, it could be 10%, 20%, 50%, it depends on. They can see by the joints if there is I&I, that even if it's not water coming in, that it did have infiltration. So, anyways, I got the document there. I plan on sending that out, and again, taking bids on the 30th. So what I'm asking the board to do is approve my bid document and authorize bidding, and then knowing that I'll be receiving the bids on the 30th and bring them to the board for approval once I do receive them. So, if the board's comfortable, I'll recommending.
Questions?
No, I think we've had discussions about this ongoing. It's similar to what we've done in past years.
Yes, correct, with a few minor improvements in the bid document. Yep.
I'm good.
Dale, do you have any idea, I know you got in your memo here, we have 300,000 lineal feet of sewer pipe. Any idea how much we have left to telescope?
Well, we've probably got 50% yet.
Okay.
We've been eating away at those sections, but, and a lot of it's PVC. I've been focused on the clay tile, VCT, which is clay tile pipe, and it's just to reassure that we don't have any.
Well, having said that, the estimation of clay tile compared to the PVC is, are we pretty well over 50%? We're over 50% of the clay tile? Or
Oh,
not?
no, we're done with the clay, this will be finished up the clay tile. This includes a lot of plastic PVC, but this will finish up the clay tile.
Okay, so clay will be.
That's a priority that we identified to focus on initially, and this will finish up a little bit that's left around the lake, the Bald Eagle, west side of Bald Eagle Lake, that there's some.
No more questions.
There's some nice RCP, reinforced concrete pipe in there too. There's a lot of different components, but it's the clay tile that's the.
All right, any other questions, Dale? No. Hearing none, do I have a motion for, I guess we're gonna do two of them here. First one's approval.
I'll make the motion based on Public Works Director's review and recommendation to approve the plans and specifications.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? And the second one is authorized advertising.
And I'll make that motion based on the Public Works Director review and recommendation, authorize advertisement for bids, noting the bid opening date of May 30th, 2019.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and second, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that motion carries. Moving on, item 8D, the Public Works canopies.
Wait, see.
Oh.
See.
What did I miss?
C.
Oh, sorry.
C.
I didn't want to talk about that one.
Well, you don't get that choice.
All right, item C, Wells 2 and 6.
He does.
Approve
He
the
holds all the
replacement.
power.
He does.
No,
No, no.
I'll correct that. There's three of us here.
Yeah, I don't want it. All right, that must be you too, Dale.
Yes, it is. So we've, a number of years ago, I'll say 2013, not long after, so 2013, we replaced all the existing prop meters in the system on our older wells. At that time, I just made the decision that we would wait on the wells 2 and 6 because they're a little bit newer, but they still had prop meters. But at this point, just because of some of the issues we've had with having to clean them at least once a year, if not more, because of buildup they get on them. And so we want to keep accurate flow of our water pumped. I'm going to recommend to the town board that we go ahead and replace those 2 current prop meters at wells 2 and 6 with mag meters. It'll increase our flow accuracy and just increase our water accountability, which is important at this. We've all learned in the last few years, or number of years, that accounting for our water is an expectation that a lot of us have, and we want to make sure we keep accurate in pumping records. So that I have two quotes, one from Metering and Technology, Inc. It's a Badger mag meter, flow meter. It'll fit right in the lay length of the existing prop meters we have at the wells. doesn't require any new spools or mechanical changes. So it will require, the installation will require a well driller or well company to go ahead and install those. And there's going to be some work with some minor electrical work by electrician, and some more work by our integrator to actually connect those to our SCADA system. But they're minor. I estimate the cost under $2,000 for those additional items, aside from the purchase of the meters. We did have another meter quote from Rosemont, or Tech Sales Company, for a Rosemont mag meter, and they were higher, and their fit wasn't in our lay length of our existing meters, so it would require, again, some modifications and spool, and they're higher. So my recommendation is to accept the quote from Metering and Technology for Badger meter for $8,250. So the total project cost, just down below I mentioned, would be about $10,250, with the funding coming from the Water Operating Fund for the two wells 2 and 6 mag meters.
How long would the wells be shut down while these are being replaced?
Well, an estimate of I gotta have the well driller come one day, so at least 3 days. They're gonna, just kind of work conjunction, and we have the other wells operate, but I want to get them done as quick as I can. And earlier, if I can get them done now, the demand isn't as high for water.
Again, earlier today, I asked about the bid itself. It's a December 17th bid.
Yeah.
And it's for $8,200, that you're asking for $8,250. Now, I see that it's good, it was good until the end of 2018. So where's the 50 come from?
No, so I made a mistake and I was doing taking my electronic version. In my file, I have all these records with the quote, the most current quote. I had one from 2019. I asked him to give me a current quote, and that actually is where the $50 difference is. So I have the correct quote in the signature packet. It was the larger 12-inch meter was $50 more on the updated quote. So that is the difference.
Perfect.
I apologize for having the wrong one in the packet.
So that'll be in the official packet then?
That'll, yes, it's in the signature file, and it'll be in the file at the township, so.
I have no other questions.
Got anything?
Nope.
Water's extremely important to be accurate for us, as we all know, so.
Yeah.
It's important.
All right, hearing no further discussion, do I have a motion on this?
I'll move, based on Public Work Director review and recommendations, approve the quote from Metering Technology for MagFlow meters for wells 2 and 6 for a total cost of $8,250 with funding from the Water Operating Fund.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carried. Moving on, item 8D. Public Works canopies.
It's me again. So we had, as the board is aware, the staff had requested to put some kind of protection over the service doors at Public Works on the south side. There's a metal roof up above, and the snow and ice would come down during the winter months, and sheets, and potential for injury. So the town board had approved going ahead and getting bids a number of months back. We actually, if you remember, we had one bid last fall, and then we wanted to rebid again, and then I ended up getting 2 bids here this spring, and Cobra Construction was the low bid, and they've completed the work of the new canopies. They're installed. There were some, so they're requesting payment for, full payment for the completion. There were some changes that were due to structural things that were unseen. There was some reinforcement that was in the way of the plates, the mounting plates for the canopies. That had to be changed. There's a support beam. This is all off the I-beams, a support piece for the Spancrete panel in the one area. So there's a number of structural things that were unknown before the project, and that amount ended up being $5,719.73. So the total is just 24,000, I'm sorry, for the payment. So the total comes to just over 35,000. So it's 35,190.41. We had the budget amount of 35,000. there can be the 19041, it can be made up from other capital fund projects that are under their designated amounts. So I'm recommending that we approve the final payoff, the board approves the final payoff for Covert Construction for $24,961.41. They had a previous payment authorized of $10,229, and that equals the $35,190.41 in total. Sorry, did I get that math? That gets you confused enough?
So you're pretty confident this is going to resolve the matter with the ice and snow?
Yes.
At least for the next few months.
Over the summer, it'll be
Oh,
great.
yeah.
As I say, yeah, piece, that is a farm on that piece for the next couple of months.
They look nice. You can up there look at it. We are gonna do the mechanical engineer and I gonna do I've looked at him already, installation. I just wanna make sure he's good, everything per plan, with the exception of some of those modifications due to the unseen structural challenges.
Well, there was an actual engineer that looked at that for snow load, made sure everything's
Yes,
okay?
yes. Oh, structural engineer. I said mechanical tonight. Structural engineer. I'll correct myself.
All right, any other questions of Dale?
No.
Hearing none, looking for a motion for the Public Works canopies.
I'll make that motion. Then, based on the Public Works Director review and recommendation, approve the final pay application from Cobra Construction, Inc. for $24,961.41 for the construction and installation of canopies over the 2 service doors at the Public Works Building with funding from the Capital Building Fund.
Second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries. And before we move on to an exciting topic of street improvements with you, Larry, Attorney, can we go back? Do you have an answer for us, or?
Yes, we do.
Aye.
Tom and I went through the
Do
ordinances.
you want to make a motion to
Let's reopen the, what item was it? I don't have it.
7A.
Reopen 7A for continued discussion.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Well, first, Mr. Chair, parking unlicensed vehicles, the zoning ordinance only restricts that on residential property. So the same restriction does not exist on commercial property. I would also note that under your conditional use requirements for this proposed conditional use permit, that number 8 says, "All federal and state statute, rules, and regulations, all local ordinances shall be complied with." Well, that means the vehicles have to be licensed under some method, under state statute or state regulations. So if the vehicles can't be registered, it can't be licensed. When I say can't be licensed, I mean they can't be moved without under some licensing provision of the state statutes, then those vehicles wouldn't comply with your conditional use permit anyway. And one other suggestion would be to add a 9th condition, which is the vehicles must be operable. Condition number 1 states only new vehicles may be stored. Simply make another condition that the vehicles must be operable.
Are you comfortable with new vehicle? It could be a 2014 model, or do we have to?
Well, that's a good point, Mr. Chair. How about, maybe you should change it to say a vehicle that has not yet been registered?
Not sure, does that just get back to, they got cars that are 3 years old, they can't sell them?
Well,
You can't put current year, because a lot of times they carry over.
true, and unfortunately, again, as I said before, the problem is, the town is bound by its ordinance as it reads, so, and the ordinance is construed against the town. So, there's a possibility that, there could be a loophole. If a vehicle is never registered, it could be, 10 years old, and still meet the requirements of this conditional use permit.
Well, either way, this only runs till when? And then they're gone anyway? May 2021? So it might be a Moog issue.
True.
All right. Jed, what did you say for item number 9? Sorry,
The
operable?
vehicles must be operable. I think in terms of licensing, you're covered under condition number 8, because it must conform with state statutes in terms of licensing.
Okay. I guess that resolves all my issues. Tom?
Yes.
Did any of the adjoining neighbors have an issue with this?
They were invited to the public hearing, so,
But I mean,
but no one
notice
has called
went
on
out?
this. Yeah, no one
No
has called on
response?
this one, correct.
All right, Scott, you got any other questions, concerns?
I don't think so, no.
Steve?
No.
So you were at the planning commission when they looked at this, or,
Yes,
so you feel comfortable following through on this one?
I do.
We haven't closed the public portion again.
We did,
Okay.
'cause that was your motion, I wrote it down.
Okay.
So now we're looking for a motion to approve, let's see, we got 2 of them. Approval of the amendment, and then approval of the conditional use permit.
So, based on staff review and recommendation, approve the amendment to ordinance number 35, adding under conditional uses in the I-1 Light Industrial District, Section 12, new automobile storage.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? And then the second one is the conditional use permit.
Based on staff review and recommendation, approve the conditional use permit zoning certificate with requirements to allow storage of new automobiles at 2321 Libel Street.
Do I have a second?
If we're with the condition that we're adding number 9,
Correct.
operational, vehicle must be operational, I'll second it.
All right, motion made and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, it carries, you're off. All right, now we can go to, I believe, Larry, you gonna take this one?
No,
No?
we're on, we did our added and pulled. So your 8E is the West Bald Eagle Boulevard discussion, and your 8F is the administrative building redesign updates. So Larry will have to wait.
We're going to discuss the boulevard, is that the one we're doing now?
Way back. Both of you have a chance to look at the resolution. Is there anything you want to?
Mr. Chair, if I may, just to give you a little background on your topic here, the board did direct me to write just a summary of what the board's potential position could be, and submit it for discussion this evening. We decided to move it to new business specifically because, we haven't discussed the ins and outs and the details of what the resolution is. So I really do think having a discussion on the background of that position and potentially changing the resolution if need be under new business. So I appreciate the board's consideration.
All right, Steve, I think you had a couple.
Well, I do have things to say on this. We're, just so everybody knows, the West Bald Eagle, East Bald Eagle Boulevards around Bald Eagle Lake has been an area of discussion for a number of years, going way back, I bet you, to around 2000. And the idea was that it's an amenity, Bald Eagle Lake is, and a lot of people would like to have a better walking and hiking access to that area. And the former boards have looked at it, came to the conclusion that it was not feasible to be done at a point in time. It has resurrected itself for the last few years, and this board and the prior board had numerous conversations, numerous meetings, numerous input from citizens regarding this. And when I saw this resolution, I was not comfortable with the word temporary suspending. And I'm not comfortable with it for the standpoint that I don't see it working. And I have a statement that I would like to read into the record so that my position is very clear on this. And I have a copy for the recording secretary, so you don't have to give it to you. Over the last few years, there have been numerous meetings and discussions regarding changes to Bald Eagle Boulevards, both east and west. Most of the conversation has been about West Bald Eagle Boulevard, with proposals to improve safety for biking and walking, and to promote enjoyment of the lake for all, and I do support those goals. However, this is a county road, and many of the requested changes require the county to execute them, or others. They are beyond the control of the township. The county could be asked to turn the road over to the township, but this cannot happen until the road is reconstructed at county expense. To take this road over in its current state would be a near impossible expense for the township. We currently have no funds for this, and so the quickest and only reasonable path to reconstructing this road is for the county to do it. Regardless of who constructs the road, creating a one-way poses many problems for areas of our township well beyond those residing on the boulevard. Lake Avenue in White Bear Lake is often cited as the kind of road Bald Eagle Boulevard could be. Lake Avenue is a beautiful avenue with one-way and a dedicated walking and biking path. Bald Eagle Boulevard is unfortunately very different from Lake Avenue, with Bald Eagle Boulevard being very narrow, much narrower than Lake Avenue, having fewer access points for emergency vehicles and fewer points of easy entry and exit from a one-way for residents and others using the road. This means a one-way creates inconvenience for many and a much greater traffic flow to other streets that would then be negatively impacted. Based on a thorough examination of all the information available and of feedback from our citizens, I would say that Bald Eagle Boulevard is not a candidate for a one-way, and I'd like to end that discussion. I would like us to continue to actively promote safety on this road with continued use of speed monitoring, trimming of trees to allow shoulders to be used by bikers and walkers, and the sheriff patrols to enforce the laws. We should also consider requesting a speed limit reduction from the county or state as applicable. With that said, I am very interested to see how the county reconstructs the boulevard north of County Road H2 in 2019. As we have been advised, it will likely be a narrowing of the lanes and a widening of the shoulders. This would give us a chance to see how it works and whether this would have any value for any other value for the parts of the boulevard. If the narrow lanes work, we should consider the same approach for the area south of H2. In addition to considering a narrowing of the lanes, we might also consider widening the street using available easements to create 2 lanes of traffic with a dedicated bike walking lane on the lakeside. This is a formidable task and may be out of the reach, of our reach anyway, but I would like to give consideration if there is interest, once we see how the expected improvements on by the county to West Bald Eagle Boulevard north of County Road H2 turn out. So in summary, I think we should end the discussion of the one-way and focus on other alternatives to improving Bald Eagle Boulevard. That is my statement and where I believe
How do you really feel?
that this is an issue. This is an issue that I've talked to so many people. You could never get a satisfactory answer from everybody. It's not workable, and I don't see any solution other than ending the discussion of the one-way. I look for other options.
Scott, what's your position?
I guess I'm not quite as adamant as Steve is, but I have received, as he pointed out, I've received several emails, phone calls from people, and it's about 50-50 as to what people would like to see. I do know that we have, as Larry is anxiously awaiting, we've got a lot of other street improvement projects underway that are going to require a lot of our time, attention, and dollars to work on. And converting this road into a one-way, even if it wasn't county-owned, would be a pretty pricey project. To your point, though, it's not owned by us. We don't have any say on it, that I understand. And I would, being the new guy, I'm willing to wait a little bit until we get some of these other projects underway. But I know that there's obviously this has been a topic of discussion for a while.
Well, I have not been a fan of this proposal from the start. I think right now people do a really good job of sharing the road. You see people waiting for traffic, you see people waiting for cars and bikers. The big thing is, I think this new development going north of H2 on Bald Eagle is going to be a great example of what can be done. People are going to be able to see that and use that part of the road and understand this is still share the road, a system that will still work. Now, I know if they were to do a one-way, it does come back to the town, which means all expenses after the road's done is the town's responsibility. Then these people on South Shore Boulevard have to realize, or Bald Eagle Boulevard have to realize, from now on, they will be assessed for any improvements or repairs or updates, because it is now a township road which we assess to repair. Now, I don't know if folks are aware of that or not, but that can also be an expensive cost down the line. Granted, the road would be done for now, but in 15, 20 years, you're gonna see maintenance and seal coating and all that stuff that requires Public Works to take care of the road. I know that road wanders through the easement. It's not right in the middle. So
Consistent.
there's some spots where you could take 20 feet of people's property if the town, or if the county really wanted to widen that road. I don't know if those residents are aware of that either. Until you see where the road is, and until usually they have to send out and survey the thing to find out where the road sits on the easements. Then people will also get a real impact of their property values and their loss of properties. So to me, again, this is a really hard road to do this on. And I agree with you, Steve. I'm really tired of talking about it because I just don't see it feasible. And to kick it down the road to the next 5 years for 3 more board members, because I don't want to go over it again, I think is a little bit not in our best interest. Patrick?
Mr. Chair, if I may, just a reminder, and Chad, you can chime on this too, is that the makeup of the current board can resolve to end discussion on the one-way part, or the one-way proposal. However, when a new board comes on, a resolution isn't necessarily binding forever. I mean, they can.
That's correct.
So, I mean, for now, with the makeup as the board is, if you want to make this statement under a resolution that for you three, as you represent the township, don't want to consider this anymore, that's fine. But the more I thought about this afternoon, the door is still open for a resolution to override that essentially and say they want to talk, a future board wants to talk about it. So I just wanted that.
Well, that may be, but we don't want this resolution. This isn't really stating our.
I got you. Yeah, and I understand that. So I'm happy to reword it however you want.
I'm happy with the first sentence that says the resolution suspending discussion of a one-way and taking out the word temporarily, understanding that resolutions can be changed by new board members, and stating that any further discussion of a one-way parkway on West Bald Eagle Boulevard shall be something tabled, it says, but
It's tabled, period.
and the reasons underneath it, while, as Scott pointed out, are valid, I don't know if they're necessary. I just think we should say we're done talking about it, however you legally want to say that. Because the one-way, I can't support a one-way based on the background information and current consideration by residents that support it.
Okay, so, and again, I'll defer to Chad's guidance on this one. What I would ask, I think, in terms of procedure here is that someone call for a vote on the resolution as is, and if it passes, it passes. If it doesn't, then I think we go about the business of redrafting it or rewording it, correct?
That would be the correct way to handle it. So the motion would be to deny the resolution.
I'll make a motion to deny the resolution of a temporary suspending discussion of a one-way parkway on West Bald Eagle Boulevard.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. I just want to make one more comment, though. This is not that we're neglecting or disregarding the safety of that road. It's far from it. Everybody wants that road to be workable for traffic and for pedestrians and for bike. That's a, I don't want to say a thoroughfare, but that's a connector. People use that back and forth, and that would really be a hardship to make that one way, one way or the other. There's going to be a lot of people mad about it and a lot of people happy, but I just as soon make it work with two-way traffic. But motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So we will redraft this thing and get it back to us next board meeting?
Sure.
Okay.
I think it's pretty simple.
All right.
What I would suggest, Mr. Chair, is that resolution, so if you go down to where it says resolution temporarily suspending discussion of a one-way parkway on West Bald Eagle Boulevard, it would read resolution suspending discussion of a one-way parkway on West Bald Eagle Boulevard. And then go down to now therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of White Bear that, one, any further consideration of a one-way parkway on West Bald Eagle Boulevard shall be tabled. And then leave it.
Well, let's redraft it and send it to us, and we'll look at it.
Okay,
Instead of, I don't want to try to make that decision right here.
that's fine. Will do.
All right, moving on. All this scribbling, all you lost, where are we?
You should be, oh no, admin
Oh, yeah, that-
updates, admin building updates. Boy, this is gonna be my first time up at Elmo.
It has a name?
Yeah, it's Elmo.
Make sure you get the speaker, the microphone.
Okay. Thanks, Tom.
Set that on there.
See if I get this right. Yeah. Okay, so we had these, or Dale and I work with SEH on drafting a plan about the reconfiguration of the administrative offices with security in mind to coincide with a capital improvement project that's going to be going on this summer and fall, where we repaint the inside, new carpet, and retile. We thought, or the board thought, that it was an appropriate time to discuss a reconfiguration with safety in mind. So we submitted this for the board's approval, or not approval, but at least discussion at your executive committee. We decided that having the door here that will lead into the conference room in a small hall will channel everybody out here to stay here. We would also have a door that would cut off all access going back here except for staff, and that we would add an additional storage or small office space to be used. And then we would become ADA compliant by doing height proportion to meet legal requirements. So we asked to do a 3D rendering of how it would look in the front as you walk in. Now this just shows the one direction. The only change that would be on this side as you're walking this direction would be the door going into the conference room. The rest of it, you can see the wall would go up to about 8 or 9 feet. Across the top here, there would be the door I talked about that would restrict access into the back of the building until staff buzzes somebody back or has a staff member come up to meet. We have 2 service windows that I spoke about, the ADA compliance. We would also have full visible lines from the adjoining offices to the front so that we could have folks available for backup. So that's your rendering. What the board was at, Dale, did you have anything to add? Okay. What the board asked us to do was just to kind of give you some visuals about how it may look. And with that design in mind, the architects would start to find us some costs for the project to go along with the rest of the construction that will go on this summer. Any questions?
Can you go back to the footprint?
Sure.
Storage area, do you have a dimension on that?
Very small. I want to say,
Not a technical dimension.
yeah, I know, I want to say it's 8 by 6.
Because I thought there was talk of almost doubling that size.
Right back, back in that area right now, that's there are storage cabinets.
Well, 'cause there was a temporary desk there for, I think it was a part-time utility clerk. So I'm wondering why we don't double the size of that to make it a real usable office?
We certainly could.
We could,
Yep.
Because originally we also talked about that might be a future sheriff's
Sure.
station.
substation, sure. Yeah, because, I mean, the goal is, over time, is to open this area up anyway. As you know, it's clogged full of file cabinets and paper.
And after we do our record retention.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, we can,
Yeah, that makes sense, I think, to make it a usable office.
yeah, I agree.
As long as we're doing construction.
I mean, I'd like to at least, I don't think we need a storage spot right there. It makes sense to have an office. Whether the door comes in from that way or however you want to do it.
Yeah.
That can be up for discussion too, but
Okay.
So for security purposes, Pat, all the entries from is the front door going to be changed for security? And you said card troll to go into the new doors you put in. Is the front door going to be also secured at the same?
We hadn't talked about the front door changing alignment or security.
So you have a card swipe to?
Oh, we could change the access to get in,
Yeah.
but for the public, we'd leave it
Well, it's
unlocked
open
during
during
the
public
days.
hours, yes.
Right, right.
Um,
You would like to see a card access for after hours, maybe?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. If you're going through the process of putting in security, you should at least know who comes and goes, because most of those tell you.
Or a fob, a card or a fob.
Whatever
Yep.
the process is,
Yep.
but I think it's a great improvement for people entering our building, so they just don't wander all over the place. They're focused in the lobby area
They're
there.
funneled right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tom, what do you think of this?
He doesn't like it.
Well, the only reason I'm asking is because I don't remember when we're gonna have actual facilities out in the park for restrooms. Because I know people tend to use those if anybody's there. Well, I think Patrick even mentioned, if that door's
happened to us
open.
the other night of public safety,
Right,
Scott.
people tend to use it, so,
The portables aren't out yet, but, yeah.
I mean, got a timing
Oh, the portables will be out this week.
or, okay.
They landed today. I don't like it only because it's all enclosed. We have a really nice open office now that's completely insecure, I guess, so.
There is that.
I'm in the corner office, I can run, I can get to the emergency exit first, so.
He's got the back out, the exit out the
Public
back.
safety, I think it's important that our
Yeah.
employees have some feeling of.
It's all about
And
public safety.
you're one of our employees too, by the
I get
way.
it,
I know
so
Tom.
I understand, it's a really nice
He's
open
got several
office.
doors they have to hit first, so
Yeah.
he's saying,
Well, is it still secure if you have glass doors where it doesn't feel so enclosed? Or half glass, or do they have to be privacy doors? Would that help make it feel more
Well,
open?
the one here, the closest one right here is a little misleading. That's the
That's
existing
but,
restroom.
I mean, the ones going back to the
Yep.
offices?
You know, I guess we could look into that, and then the other one that would be over on this side that goes into the conference room. Yeah, we could do that.
Because obviously, when we have meetings there, we still have to have the doors open anyway. For open door meeting laws.
Yeah.
It's just a suggestion, but that may feel like it's not so confined. Normally, you would think the doors would be open during the day, working hours anyway, but if they are shut for any reason, it still gives you the impression it looks a little bigger.
Sure. Anything else?
Can't remember if we discussed the two desks. I think a question been raised about how secure are those?
Well, I agree with you. I brought that up the last time, that it takes about 2 seconds to jump over that wall, and you're through there any security we have, because there's nothing they're not locked in a room behind there. And so that's an open avenue to just carry on.
How much petty cash do we keep?
It's not necessarily about petty cash, it's a world of
I understand.
of protection for employee safety, and that is an issue that I had, was this really is only a partial answer to our security. The reception area, unfortunately, should be isolated so that no other employees are vulnerable. It's unfortunate that someone has to be, but I don't know how to with that floor plan you have, I don't know if there was an option to enclose it.
I think the only thing that you really could do, and this would really close things off, is if you basically eliminate 2/3 of these openings and narrow it down to just a service window type thing on both. But that gets,
Well, but you don't have to close them in, you could still have glass. You could still have two fixed glass panels with a center opening too.
yeah,
It also may help a little bit of the, I know during some of our meetings, it is a little noisy at the front desk. When we're trying to have a meeting and there's a lot of commotion at the front desk. That might help soundproof it a little more too.
But you still have the door open to the conference room.
I know, that's
too.
true. But now you've got two doors to go.
Yeah.
so we should see additional glass over the service counter area, or whatever you want to call it.
Holes in the,
Would you like to see options for that glass protection?
Right.
Yeah,
Well, you don't have to have it, obviously, you don't want to close it up with sheetrock, but glass would still make it feel open. If the center was just operable, you could even shut that and lock that. It's still all glass.
Dale, what do you think? We run it by him?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I've seen it in other
Well, it's trying to
places.
get to at least a little bit of your concern.
And addressing Tom's, keeping it open.
Yeah.
So, and I agree with him. I mean, it is a nice open feel. 2/3 of it will still remain open. It's just going to be behind.
but
Walls
I will
now.
tell you that a lot of buildings that had open design have changed that because of security for their employees. So it's just a fact of life today that you have to be concerned over it. And we have at one or two people sitting there, and things aren't always comfortable, and things that happen within the township where someone could pose a threat. And I'd like to eliminate as much as possible that option of vulnerability to you and all your staff that work in there. And so now's the time to be comfortable with what we do, having security in mind.
Agreed.
So Patrick, can you take those changes back and just do them another quick concept plan?
Sure.
And then we can go from there.
Yep. Absolutely.
Board okay with that?
I'm all good.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, we can maybe see that,
Next week? Next,
Next meeting?
next
Oh, yeah.
board meeting?
Yep.
All right. Okay, now we can go to Larry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and board members. At your last meeting on April 15th, we discussed the 2019 street improvements, and at that meeting, you accepted the feasibility report and called for a public meeting, or public hearing for that project. You also authorized the completion of plans and specifications, but at that meeting, we didn't have a quote for you for that work. Just as a reminder, the area of streets we're looking at is the Hobie area, Parkview Drive, Fenway Court, Weston Woods Way, Moon Lake Court, White Bear Parkway, from Oakmead to Otter Lake Road, and Gilfillan Court. We are looking to hold a neighborhood meeting on May 28th, and we are preparing a letter to send out very soon for that meeting, as well as the letter will also include the public hearing notice for June 4th. So really, the action tonight we're looking for is authorizing TKDA to work with staff and residents to prepare the plans and specifications for an amount not to exceed $59,500. Now, we haven't had the public hearing yet, and we don't have bids yet, so obviously, there are future points where this project could be changed or altered or delayed based on the feedback we receive at the public hearing or the bids we receive. So it doesn't obligate the board to proceed with the projects, but what we're trying to do is get going on the plans and specifications so we can bid this as soon as we're comfortable with the project and get it completed this year.
So it's essentially keeping the ball rolling and bringing it up to the point where the board can consider it to be turnkey if you do decide to proceed with it, correct?
Correct.
But to be clear, no, we have all the appraisals done, so that part of it is the project, just so we can start figuring out roll some numbers at this stuff.
Yep, and it'll be interesting to see what the initial neighborhood feedback is on the 28th as well.
And based on that feedback, we could reduce the
Sure.
project or
Yep.
whatever we decide. So we're zeroing in on a target, and these are part of the process
Yep.
to get us to where we need to be.
These are kind of our mileposts so far, so we have not made it home yet, and it's still up to the board when you hit that point, if you want to head on out on it, so.
Out of curiosity, this focus with all this work that you've done so far is for this year.
Yes.
Would we go through a similar process with all these reviews and appraisals and feedback for next year and the year after that?
We would have to complete another feasibility report for next year's project. The appraisal, when they did the appraisal, the appraisal did include the work for next year. So we wouldn't need to do an appraisal for next year's project. If we followed the pavement management booklet for next year's project, which is the southeast area.
And that's key to Tom wanting to bond for multiple years up front on the first year, so.
But by law, or by using 429 funds and that 429 process, we have to do a feasibility report for that project. And you're going to want to anyway.
Yeah.
So we just wouldn't have the number of, it sounds like what we're doing now is actually going to help us in the next couple of years. We won't have to do some of this stuff year after year. The feasibility reports, yes.
Yes.
But some of the other steps, perhaps, we're covering it all right now, this first pass.
Yeah, certainly the pavement management booklet and as well as the appraisal work, we wouldn't have to repeat for next year.
Okay.
Future years.
All right, any other questions, Larry? Nope. Looks like you're looking for two motions here, Larry. Approval of the preparation of plans and specs.
No, it's basically to authorize TKDA to perform the work for that not to exceed amount of $59,500. You've already passed that other resolution.
Oh,
So we're,
That's what the resolution said, I don't remember.
It's the first sentence
the
under
first one.
our recommendation letter.
so you want approval based on the feasibility report? Is that what you're talking about?
Under the letter.
Oh, you want to authorize TKDA to work?
Yes.
That's different than the way it's.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
Gotcha. I'll make a motion based on the town engineer review and recommendation to authorize TKDA to work with staff and residents to prepare the plans and specifications for an amount not to exceed $59,500. The plans and specifications do not obligate the board to determine project assessment of funding or funding. Funding for this portion of the proposed project will be through the Improvement Fund 505.
Right, do I have a second on the motion?
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion carries. That'll do it for you, Larry?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. The last item on the agenda. Could it be clerk treasurer probation period?
Just plug your ears.
Well, if the audience doesn't know, Patrick Christopherson is our new clerk treasurer, and he's been here, is it 6 months now? What's the date?
Yeah, 6 months.
He's loved every minute of
Seems
it.
like 5 years.
Ask him.
He had hair when he started, now it's short, very short.
And our town policy is we have to go through a probationary period review. Steve, you got some
Well,
suggestions?
I do. I find we have not really went down this road with performance review for a clerk treasurer. This board has not. I can't speak for all the boards. So we as a group who are not to talk to each other except at this group meeting, I think we need to have some discussion as to filling out our evaluation forms for the clerk treasurer position and provide that information probably to Chad. My thought is that Scott and I, as board supervisors, should give our independent feedback on the clerk treasurer's performance, give it to Chad, who can give it to the chair to coordinate our thoughts separately and put together a document that would be your review to be presented to you at some point in the future, probably at the exec meeting. I guess, Chad, does that sound like a process that could work?
That should work, yes.
Okay.
Is
That's
this to
what I'm
get around
proposing.
actually calling for a special town board meeting where all three of us can sit and do it? Is that-
Yeah,
That's why
Yeah,
this-
Yes.
that makes sense.
I
Does that work
think
for you, Patrick? Can you wait another, the suspense will kill you, I suppose.
Probably.
it's in this month.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no, I don't think there's a statute where we got to do it with, at the 6-month period, is there?
No, there is no
Okay.
statute.
But I think it's important for all of us to annually talk about the performance of the person that reports to the board. And you're the only employee that doesn't have a set process in the past, and I think it's important that we include that going forward.
Sure.
I'm sure all your employees love getting performance reviews, so, as you should.
Of course.
All right, so you can schedule that with
Yeah.
these two and Chad?
Chad, what would you think, give us like a week and a half to get the stuff to you, and then you give time for you to compile it and give it to him or whatever?
Yeah, that should work, a week and a half, yes.
Scott, do you think we can kind of, each of us get done with this by end of next week?
And we're using the templates that are in here, or is
Yeah,
it free
yeah.
form?
That's all we've got for now.
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
And we work with our new and improved HR process.
I'll figure out a way that we can type in here as opposed to.
And we're electronically challenged at the
No,
moment.
no.
I am. He tried to help us earlier, and
No, I have his text all over the sheet, text, 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 text.
we're challenged by how to type on an iPad. Okay, so if that process works, I think that satisfies my
All right,
concerns.
any further discussion on the item? All right, hearing none, we're moving on, we have no added agenda items. We do have open time, I notice we have a bunch of students here, if you guys would like to step up to the podium, give your name, address,
Television.
what you going to school for, no takers.
Any clarifications on anything you heard?
And y'all stayed too, nobody skipped
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I'll just say thank you. There you go.
All right, item 11, I need a motion to receive agenda materials and supplements.
I will make that motion to receive all agenda materials and supplements for tonight's meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's made second, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor say aye.
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 Aye, we are adjourned at 8:24.
Those of you